This is Street Smart, and I'm Lisa Murphy. Well, Jon Corzine hasn't been seen publicly since the company he once ran, MF Global, went bankrupt 5 weeks ago. But tomorrow, he will appear before a congressional panel looking into that company's demise and up to $1.2 billion that is still missing in customer funds. Well, joining us now is Congressman Frank Lucas. He's the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, where Corzine is scheduled to appear. And, Mr. Chairman, what do you hope to find out tomorrow specifically?
Well, we hope to gain a number of facts. The House Agriculture Committee has primary jurisdiction over the futures markets. So former Senator, former Governor Corzine's activities at MF Global and the failure of the company are critically important to our committee jurisdiction and to our constituents. So, of course, what was the cause of this failure of a $41 billion enterprise? How do we need to look forward in the future to make sure that something like this does not happen? And oh yes, how much money are we short, and where is the money? This is money that belongs to constituents out there, people who are using this product. So there are a number of very important questions for both the former senator and for a number of other witnesses on two other panels also.
Is there any possibility that he could invoke the Fifth Amendment?
Well, most assuredly, the senator, as do all witnesses, have the right against self-incrimination to protect themselves. But I would hope, when you consider the thousands of people and the hundreds of businesses impacted by this spectacular failure, I would hope that he would step up and give a full and accurate accounting. But ultimately, it is his decision and his attorney's decisions about how to handle the Fifth Amendment.
Certainly sounds like there's a lot of fact-finding that you're going to be doing tomorrow, but do you have a sense, given what you know thus far, if any crimes were actually committed leading to the downfall of MF Global?
I don't know that I can answer that. I just know that it appears by the public record that Mr. Corzine was a very hands-on kind of an individual. It appears that decisions were made that on investments that went sour in a big way. And clearly, money that was to be segregated, customers' monies deposited with the firm in the execution of these future contracts, were commingled or transferred in other directions. We're going to try to determine in our hearing tomorrow, by talking to the regulators, to Mr. Corzine, to the end users, how much money, where is the money, how did this come about, and yes, of course, there are existing laws on the books and have been in some cases for decades to prevent this. It's hard to believe that without someone breaking a law, that $1.2 billion potentially could go missing.
Well, why is that money still missing? I'm sure that's going to be a major focus for tomorrow's hearing.
Well, we have a regulator from the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and we have lead counsel from the trustee for the bankruptcy process, and we're going to ask those questions. What have you been able to determine? What have you found? What do you believe perhaps you will not be able to find? Now, why does this matter? There are literally thousands of individuals who have at least a third of the money that they had placed what they thought in a trust capacity with the firm that don't have access to their money. That's $1.2 billion. We're going to try and work through all these things, and that's what the committee process is for, is to determine the facts, to determine what the laws and rules are that got us to this point, and where we go from here. It won't be the most exciting testimony, perhaps, but it is important testimony, such that the committee voted last week unanimously to send an invitation, so to speak, to the senator to come see us, which was served by a federal or U.S. Marshal.
Now, to what extent do you think the regulators are to blame, that this was a failure of our regulatory framework?
Well, there are a number of different entities that have responsibility over this, and we're going to have all of them there tomorrow. We're going to determine what information was available. There were certain reports that were to be filed every day showing the disposition of monies of a client's account, segregated funds. We're going to ask questions about who received those reports, how thorough and methodical were those reports, were there amendments made to reports, did reports not necessarily perhaps match up with all the auditing effort, and the entities that do audits of these accounts. We're going to ask questions about that. This is going to be a first step in a very methodical process by the House Agriculture Committee.
Chairman, to what extent do you think this could become too political? We're hearing that the National Republican Campaign Committee said today that Democrats need to return any campaign contributions that Corzine or MF Global actually made. Do you think that's premature?
Well, I can't speak to the political consequences that this set of circumstances is going to have. I just know from the committee's perspective, good people have $1.2 billion perhaps of their dollars that have disappeared apparently. And we have a responsibility to make sure that those people can, as nearly as possible, be made whole. And we're going to determine who made the decisions to enable that money to disappear. You don't make $1 billion+ just go poof. Who made the decisions? Who ordered the executions? Where were the transactions conducted? Now, this may require more than one committee hearing. This will be an effort also by the Senate Agriculture Committee, the Oversight Committee, the Financial Services Committee. I would think that at least a half a dozen federal authorities from CFTC on down are in the midst of this process. You just don't have this kind of an event by accident. And I would say this, if nothing else, it is necessary to restore the confidence of the markets to the use of the futures contracts. This is a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise. We have to restore faith.
All right, Chairman, we have to leave it there. We do appreciate your time, and of course, we will be watching that hearing closely tomorrow.